Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, Worldwide Academy Training Services. I'm so excited to bring this discussion to you today. I'm really curious myself. Um, this is Erin Wojcicki. Did I say it right?
Yep, you got it
All
right.
right, Wojcicki. Love it. And we're going to be discussing today. She is a dog bite prevention specialist as well as body language. And I never heard of this. So before we get started, I just want to remind you, please, to hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, subscribe, share, comment. Guys, we need to be pushed up into the algorithms for share on Facebook too, but in YouTube, so that we can get the information out to more people. I do know that YouTube is starting to do some things more that, in those videos, those discussions where people are being helped with in certain areas. They're removing them, they're removing comments and stuff like that. But anyway, we need you to help us to reach out and to, we're not, to share with other people. We are not at this point monetized. So that would also help us too. That'd be fantastic because we are a nonprofit organization. We don't ask for any grant money. We just survive by and thrive by what we are provided with through people who have generous hearts and our creator. So anyway, make sure you do that. So let's get to our discussion today with Erin. I was introduced to Erin by another friend of mine, and who is a dog sitter, and who we actually did our one of our last interviews with, Kelly Brady. And she said, "Oh, I want you to meet Erin." And she told me she's a dog bite prevention specialist. And I'm like, what? And she's a dog body language. I said, oh my gosh, I never heard of this. So Erin, let's start out. So tell us, what is this? What is this? What's the definition of this? Tell us about it.
Well, dogs have their own way of communicating, and they communicate, well, I shouldn't say strictly, they use vocal language as well, but they mainly use their body to communicate, and they communicate with each other that way, but they also kind of assume that we know what they're saying as well. And most people don't know what they're saying unless it's like the things that they really see, like growling or baring teeth. Things like that are the things that most people know about, but there's many other smaller signals that they give us, and a lot of people don't understand what they are.
So give us that's so interesting, because I taught a pet first aid and CPR class over the weekend, and I of course mentioned that I was going to be doing this interview with you and what it was. And there were a few people that in the class, because we get such a wide variety of people in our classes, anywhere from just not just, but pet owners to vet techs to dog sitters and dog daycare people, and so I love it because everybody shares the information, that in their experiences, and we learn through each other. And so when I told them that I was going to be speaking with you, there were a few that knew a little bit about this, and I did learn a little bit about certain behaviors and things that physically that they will do, so that I was like, wow, I never realized that. It's really truly an amazing topic. So give us a little bit of a background on you. How did you come to be, like, how many dogs do you have? How did you come to love animals or dogs? Or just give us a little background on Erin.
Okay. Well, I've loved dogs all my life, for as long as I can remember. When I was younger, I wasn't allowed to have my own. So I kind of became the neighborhood dog walker. I didn't do it for money. I just did it because I wanted to be around dogs.
Okay.
So anybody that I saw in the neighborhood that had a dog, I immediately became their friend. And then we finally did get our own dog, and like I started training her without knowing really what I was doing, but it was successful. And from there I started having my own dogs. We currently only have one right now. I'm trying to get my husband to let us have more, but
There's always
He's not
one.
bad. Right, right. I'm like grateful that I have him, but my friends let me use theirs too. But yeah, so it's interesting because when I was younger, I actually had a dog who was a resource guarder, and I didn't really know what that was. And I tried to take a toy from him, and he bit me in my forehead. Not enough to like cause marks,
I'm going to
but
stop you for a second.
sure.
What is a resource guarder?
Okay, so a resource guarder, most dogs have a degree of being a resource guarder to a point. Anything that they find of high value is
Mhm.
something that they look at as like a really valuable resource. And so they will want to protect it and guard it so that you or somebody else doesn't take it away. It could be food, it could be toys, it
Okay.
could be treats. So it varies between dogs, and there's different levels of resource guarding as well.
Mm,
So like my dog, when he gets like a pig ear, I don't know if you're familiar with what those are, but
no.
it's like a really delicious treat. It's an actual pig ear.
Oh, pig ear.
But
I thought you said,
yeah,
okay. I actually saw some of those over the weekend. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But when he gets one of those, you do not bother him with it because he will bite you, especially if you try to take it away. So there's things that you can do to help with that, but we can get into that later. But anyway, so
Yeah.
my dog was a resource guarder growing up, and he bit me in the forehead. And then years going on, I just any job I could find, I wanted to work with dogs. I worked at an animal hospital. I worked at an animal inn. Then several years ago, I worked at a dog daycare and boarding facility, and I absolutely loved it. And we needed to learn body language because we're in a room or a yard with 20, 40 dogs at a time. We need to be able to be watching what's going on and prevent, fights from breaking out and things like that. So
Right.
we had to learn body language there.
Mhm.
But that wasn't enough for me. I wanted to learn more. So then I started researching like how can I learn more about this? And I took a dog bite prevention educator course through Dognostics.
Okay.
Um, that was incredible, and it's so fascinating how much there is that like
Mhm.
I knew there was body language, but I didn't know to the depth and the extent that it can go.
Right.
So I took that and I just read as much as I can, and it's really kind of a crucial thing to know if you're around
Yeah.
dogs.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so it's so good when people can find what their passion is and then they can actually make a living out of it, or they can, or even a hobby, just something they're really impassioned about and can find, a way to do that. And I just find that, in doing these classes, the pet first aid and CPR, like the people that take, and people that are like that are dog owners, or just pet lovers, they just have such compassion. They really do. And so much knowledge and experience that they can, that they can share. I love the discussions that we have. Um, so, okay, so tell us, how do you, so you actually do you're looking to do classes, give us a little bit more about how this would work.
So there's two different kind of classes I can do. There's one aimed towards children because they are pretty much the largest group that gets bit.
Mm,
And it's called Be a Tree, and it basically teaches them how to act around and what to do around a strange dog. But then my goal is to do just a basic bite prevention where parents and or children can come because 77% of dog bites to children are from a familiar dog, either their family dog or a friend's dog. And so it's just really important to know what the dog is
mhm,
saying. And so I feel like I really want to bring that to families and,
mhm.
you know,
Well, and
especially that have young children.
yeah, I think maybe people think a lot that, it's a strange dog is going to bite me, and it's good to be definitely cautious,
Hmm.
but the statistic is really high as far as family and friends
Hmm.
dogs. And it's really good. You're getting the information to people, you're educating, and that's again, we talk about that in our classes. People just don't. certain things about animals that people just don't know. Like, no,
Right.
they've not researched it, or they just don't, they just don't take the time. They don't think about it because, our pets are our pets and we love them. And it's just, it's an emotional thing. And we
Yeah.
think, oh, they're never going to hurt us. But they're still animals. And we
Right.
forget that sometimes because they are our best friends.
Right. Right.
So it's great that you're getting the information out to
Mhm.
people. Um, how long is it a series of classes, or can be broken down into that, or how does that work?
I feel like the Be a Tree would probably just be one class because you don't want to have it too long so that the kids lose interest or get
Mhm.
bored. So
Right.
that's more of like one session. You can break it down shorter. I have
And
to look and see. Go ahead.
what are the ages for that? I didn't mean to interrupt.
Um, it's it's really aimed more towards like school age with how the presentation is done.
Okay.
Because it has like its own PowerPoint and it really like the graphics and things are really just aged or aimed more towards those younger kids,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
does make sense
Mhm.
because the largest group is 5 to 9 of dog bites. Um,
Okay.
but the the actual dog bite education one that I would do like with parents, I think because there is so much information, it would probably need to be more than one class. Depending on to the depth anyway that people are interested. I mean, because there's like basics,
Mhm.
but then like there's things that we could dive deeper into.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes
Mhm.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So can you give us, you don't have to give it all away because I know we want to do something more. Um, give us one example of body language.
Mm.
Do that?
Yeah. So I will use hugging dogs because a lot of people love to hug their dogs.
Hmm.
Dogs don't generally like to be hugged. Um, some dogs will tolerate it. There's very, very few that do enjoy it,
Really?
but the majority do not enjoy it.
Oh, that surprises me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you'll see like if you watch an interaction of somebody hugging a dog, you'll very likely see things like they'll turn their head away. Like if the person's here,
Mhm.
they'll turn their head away. They'll do a lot of lip licking where you see the tongue come out. It could be slow or it could be just a little bit of a flick. You'll see yawning.
Okay.
They'll pull their body kind of away the other direction. So there's a lot of different signals. They don't necessarily do all of them, but
Right.
those are definitely things to look for. And there's actually this, let me see what exactly. There's a ladder of it's called distance increasing. And I don't want to go too deep into things and confuse people, but
Yeah.
there's a ladder of behaviors that they show that lead up to a bite. And so these
Okay.
smaller things are kind of called whispers,
Hmm.
where you want to be paying attention to these smaller signals that they're giving to
Right.
prevent them to getting where they feel they need to bite. So if you're aware of these smaller things like the lip licking and the yawning,
Hmm.
then you can understand that your dog is saying, I'm uncomfortable with this interaction. I don't like it. I don't want to do it anymore. And
Hmm.
you can let them go rather than continuing and pushing them into where they
Yeah.
do feel to get
Well, and
harmed.
it's just like any kind of safety situation where your safety is concerned, there's always pre things, things that occur before or things that you should be looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same thing. And it's interesting you said about like the dog turning its face away. Somebody shared in the last class about because I think we were talking about that, the body language, and she has a German Shepherd. And she said she learned that if you turn your face away from, if you, as the person turns their face away, it's really kind of like a sign to the dog that you don't want to be bothered with them, that you're kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, it's a negative thing to them. And she found this out and she like kind of experimented with it. And it was like really interesting how the dog reacted to that. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like maybe, like a body language between the owner or the people, and also the, the
Mhm.
dog too. So
Yeah.
that's interesting because I really, you see, people holding their pets and they see, I wonder if it's too like the more of the like just kind of going at them and like with excitement and maybe
Well,
frightening them.
they they kind of feel confined and trapped. Dogs are really they really value their space.
Hmm.
And a lot of the signals that they show are called distance increasing, where they're wanting to increase their space away from
Right.
a situation, a person, another dog, because they really value their space.
Yeah.
So I think when they're hugged, they feel confined, and that's a very human way of showing
Hmm.
affection, but it's not how dogs show affection.
Hmm.
So we love it. We love to hug our dogs, but they're not comfortable with it. It's too much,
Okay.
what's the word?
It's just
Like
too
confinement.
claustrophobic.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you were saying about the girl who was saying about turning the face away, we can do signals back to them.
Hmm.
And they will understand what it is. Like my dog is super anxious. He's always lip licking. Nothing has ever happened to him. We've had him since he was 12 weeks. He's just a super anxious dog.
Okay.
So he'll lip lick a lot to calm himself down. And when if I'm like going to pet him or whatever and I see him lip licking, it sounds silly, but I can lip lick back to him and let him know that I'm not a threat and that
Oh,
everything is okay. So like we can learn and use them to help them understand that we're not a threat.
yeah.
So they can be used towards dogs and towards humans. So it's really interesting.
Oh, it is. That's fascinating to me. It
Yeah.
really is. I love
It
it.
is. I can't get enough of it. Like I'm always looking for more to learn and yeah.
I would imagine too that it's like some of the things maybe are they, and maybe you mentioned this, are specific to breeds, different breeds, like the
Um,
anxiety and the
oh,
are they?
I mean, genetics I think plays a big role into it.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people think that it's how you train them or what experiences they've had, but genetics do play a large part into anxiety or aggression and
Okay.
things like that. But as far as breed specific, it's interesting that you said that because dogs that have like the cropped ears and the docked tail,
Mhm.
it does make it more difficult for dogs to read that dog's body language because they're not having their natural ears or tail. So you can still see
Oh,
some, but it can get a little confusing for the dog
oh,
that's
I
trying to
get
read
it.
that dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. That makes
Yeah.
sense. So the body language and the dog bite prevention is kind of like can be used overall
Mhm.
for most dogs or all dogs. Is that
Yeah. It's like a one, like,
the common thing that
yeah, it's like their language. That's how they communicate with each other. And so while, they do use it across the board between each other, like I said, those cropped ears and docktails do make it a little bit more difficult.
Hmm.
But they can generally do it, but it can cause some confusion sometimes.
And so the communication between animals too, as far as their body language towards each other, is that
Yeah.
something that you go over too, or is it just basically for humans?
Yeah, no, I can share that too.
Okay.
But the
I'm just thinking
teaching
like, yeah.
no, yeah, with teaching humans though, it's obviously most important for us to understand what they're saying. But if you have a multi-dog household, you also want to know what's being said between them so that you can
Mhm.
be aware, and step in if something starts to go downhill.
Yeah, and just one example of having other animals in the house or other dogs. Somebody shared this weekend again. I swear I learned so much this weekend from people's experiences. We had a class full of experiences. There was a dog that was having a seizure,
Oh gosh.
and the other dogs want to try to come and they maybe want to help or whatever they want, but you have to keep them away because they can cause more issues
Yeah.
because again they don't know what's going on and they're reacting, and then you have that in there as well. So
Yeah.
that's why I was thinking of that. So um yeah, so what else, anything else that you want to share with us about this? I know
Yeah.
you
So I'll share a couple other things real quick.
Okay.
So there's, and I grew up doing this too, but since studying all this and learning, I've learned that when you greet a dog, it's actually not a good idea to put your hand out for them to sniff. And that's basically everybody has been taught that since they were
Mhm.
little. Like you're greeting a dog, a strange dog, put your hand out for them to sniff.
Yeah.
But that actually can invite a bite because you're going into their space.
Mm.
So the best way to greet a dog is turning sideways because dogs don't even, a polite greeting between dogs is not head on. If you ever watch two dogs greet, they actually arc and go around each other.
Oh,
They,
yeah.
they don't go head on. And if they do, that's seen as very rude to dogs.
Mm.
So when you're greeting a strange dog, you don't want to approach head on. You don't want to be sticking your hand out in their face for them to smell. They can smell you. They can smell you from like 12, 40 feet away.
Mm.
Um, if you turn your body and you can crouch if you're comfortable, or you can just stand and let them come into your space to smell you if they want.
Mm.
But if they don't want to, that's a sign that they're not wanting to interact. So
Mhm.
that's the safest way to
Oh.
greet and interact with a dog
That's
for the first
good.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good because we do pretty much think that. But then when it makes sense, like don't stick your hand out if you don't want it to be bitten.
Right,
Here's
right.
my hand, take a bite.
Right, right. And they can do a number of things. They could do the signs that I was saying before about turning their head away, lip licking, yawning, or they could snap and bite. And you just don't know, and you don't want to really take that chance.
Yeah. So
Um,
so is this and I probably should have said this earlier. Is this specific, what you're doing specific just to for dogs or is cats involved or
I don't really know a lot of body language for cats.
okay.
I know there's information out there, but my passion has always been dogs.
Yeah.
So I focus on dogs.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was just thinking like, I wonder if it's the same. Well, I'm sure it's would be different for cats because obviously they're different. But I
Right.
didn't know if you went through that as well. Okay,
Yeah, but that would be interesting, I think. But
I'm sure.
yeah, and then another really common myth is that a wagging tail means that the dog is happy, but that is not true.
Oh,
They wag their tail. I've seen so many times, like on social media, seeing videos, and people are like, "Oh, the dog's happy; it's wagging its tail." But if you look, sorry, something popped up. If you look at the whole, and you want to do this every time you're reading body language, you want to look at the entire picture. You want to look at what's going on in the situation, and you want to look at the whole body
yeah.
to pick up what's going on. Because yes, you might see a wagging tail, but if you look at the front, there could be a whole lot of other information going on. So
Okay,
they can wag their tail for showing that they're sorry, my brain just left me.
that's okay.
Um showing that I'm trying to word it right.
It's okay.
So there's a flagging tail where the tail is like straight up,
Mm-hmm.
kind of over their back a little, but it's straight up and it's wagging. That's a flagging tail. And that usually means there's a strong emotion going on. And
Okay,
it could be overly excited. It could be he's kind of not too thrilled with the situation. So that's why you want to look at everything going on.
so it's not a good.
Um,
It's not a good indication if it.
yeah, usually a flagging tail, you're not going to really want to go and be like, oh, let's go pet this dog, because even if it's over excitement, that can go bad.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to really pay attention
Yeah.
to the whole picture. And like some dogs, like I have a Shih Tzu, his tail goes up over his back, Husky's tails, Pug's tails. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to know what the baseline natural is for that dog. So my dog, like I said, his tail curls up over his back, but he has that happen where it doesn't go straight, but his tail will go over his back, like far.
Okay.
And that's when I know like he's got some strong emotions going on. It's usually when I'm outside and he sees a stranger or another dog, it goes
Mm-hmm.
up and he's like
Okay.
overly aroused.
Yeah.
So there's one tail that is for sure a happy dog, and that's when you see it going in a circle.
Okay. So circle's good.
Yeah, and usually the whole body's wagging.
And
That's a
they're like,
friendly dog. Yeah.
okay, okay. So what would you say? Like, this is really great. I'm getting such an education here, and I'm so looking forward to hearing more about what you have to teach us. What would you say to people now? Like, okay, so the people that are probably um, maybe come to your classes or would really be those serious owners or those who are have a are dog sitters, dog walkers, all those professional kind of people. But what would you say, like, okay, so I walk on the trail every day, and people walk their dogs, and some people don't have their dogs on leashes. Some dogs I've come to know, they've come to know me, so they come up. But what would you say, like, for the average person walking who doesn't have any pets, and you're walking and you see a dog coming towards you, you kind of like dogs, but how would you, and if you're, if, because there are different situations, I get, what's the best thing to do? Like, just put blinders on, keep walking, don't even do eye contact, keep looking at the ahead of you, or what?
So if it's off leash, I think the safest thing is to do what the children's thing is called, be a tree. You
Okay.
just kind of want to stand still. It's best to have your arms up because your hands being down can be like enticing for them.
Okay.
But like if it's a strange dog and you really don't know how it's going to be and it's off leash, the best thing to do is be a tree. And then you become boring. They don't have any, there's
I,
nothing going on exciting for them to want to do anything.
I'm telling you, every time you say be a tree, I just get this other picture in my head. I'm thinking, I hope they don't think I'm a tree
No,
or a fire
no.
hydrant.
Yeah.
um,
But and it's tough too because there's many times where people will be like, "Oh, can I say hi to your dog? Is your dog friendly?" And the person might say yes, they're friendly, which might be the case, but the dog doesn't know you. And
mhm,
so, yes, it might be a really friendly dog, but that doesn't mean go up and be in his face and petting him and loving
right.
him. You still want to let him make the decision to come into your space, and you still don't want to approach head on.
Yeah, so that's really, it really is about space, giving
Yeah.
giving the dog space,
Yeah.
and being aware of those things. And so yeah, because I think of too, like, stray dogs, or a dog that got loose, and
Hmm.
somebody's okay, so here's a situation, I had this a couple months ago. I wasn't actually there, but my neighbor I'd seen my neighbor walking through my yard. I'm like, why is he going through my yard? I don't know why he lives across the other way. But anyway, I saw him, is everything okay? And he's like, oh yeah, the neighbor's dog got loose. And, so I was helping them, and they're okay now. So your neighbor's, situation, your neighbor's dog is loose. What do you do? I mean, do you do anything? Do you say, okay, I hope you find your dog? You know?
No, you can definitely help. Most times you don't want to chase because they look at that as a game.
Mhm.
If you can get low on the ground, crouch or lay down. I mean, if you know the dog. I've helped to
Safety.
get stray dogs before as well.
Okay.
But it can be scary because you don't know how they're going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you can try and entice them with food or something, but again, you just want to be careful. You want to look at their whole body language. We had some strays in our yard a couple of years ago. And my husband, of course, knowing I love dogs, he came in and got me and he's like, "Hey, there's some dogs in the yard."
Mhm.
Well, I went out and the one dog had his hair up and he had that high tail. So I knew I'm not going near that dog.
Mhm.
But the next best thing I could do was put him on Burke's dog search to let them know because I didn't want to risk getting myself bit and I didn't want to scare him and have him run into traffic.
Right.
So you want to just be mindful of that with a stray dog. Now, if it was one of my neighbor's dogs, they know me.
Mhm.
I would get low on the ground for him, have him, call him over to me and hope
Mhm.
that he would come.
Yeah.
Um, I like what Kelly had with her, the slip lead in case you need to get a stray dog. That's always smart to have. I have one of those as well in case I see stray dogs. But
Right. Well,
yeah,
then,
you just
then,
want to be
then
mindful.
there's the other situations too, where, there's the injured dog,
Yeah.
and we always stress, very first thing is safety. Is
Hmm.
the scene safe to go and help this animal? And
Right.
I'm sure there are things too, and we teach muzzling, things like that. So just always to be safe first, and be take
Yeah.
precautions. So
Yeah. Because a scared dog or an injured dog is more likely to bite as well. So
mhm,
you definitely don't want to just go in and just think, "Oh, well, dogs love me. I'll be fine." Because
mhm.
no, that's not always the case.
Yeah, you never know. Wow,
Yeah.
this is fascinating. So, I guess I don't want to go into too much info, because we are going to do another, we're going to do more with this. So, um, Is there anything else that you really feel you want to put out, or you want to summarize for us, or what could you leave as an ending?
Um, so one thing that I think is really, really, really important, is to never punish a growl. A growl is communication, and when a dog is growling, that's when he's gone past those whisper signals of the yawning and the licking and the, head turning and stuff. And he's to the point where you haven't listened to those or you didn't know them, and
Mhm.
he's growling. But if you start to punish the growl or those other behaviors, that's when the bites happen out of the blue,
Oh,
because rarely does a dog bite out of the blue. It's given those signals to the point. And so once you punish those behaviors, specifically a growl, it's kind of like taking the batteries out of a smoke detector. You don't have that warning anymore to let you know that something's coming, because a dog will growl before he bites unless he's been punished for doing
yeah.
so. So
Wow.
it's really important, because a lot of people, like, their dog will growl to let them know they don't like something. And you hear a lot of people be like, hey, no, or like they
Mhm.
might even smack their dog for it. And so then they learn, like, well, they're not listening to what I'm saying, so I just have to take matters into my own hands. And that's definitely something you don't want.
Wow. See, I learned more. I've
Yeah.
learned so much. I've learned so much just in talking to you in this short amount of time. And I just thank you so much, Erin. I
Thank
think
you.
I'm gonna definitely we're gonna talk some more and see what we can do, because I know people are going to be really interested in this, and I think you're a fountain of knowledge. I can see that now.
There's so much. And so it's
Yeah.
hard to not want to just spew everything. My poor family hears it all the time from me.
Well, it's so great to see somebody who's so passionate about something, and that is just really good. And thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
this time to do this recording with us. And so everybody, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. I'm going to, Erin, if you have any links that you would like to send to me, maybe, contacts that people can get in touch with you, Facebook links, any social media links, website, whatever, we'll link them down below for you guys. And then make sure that you just stay tuned, get on our Worldwide Academy Training Services Facebook page, get on, of course, our YouTube page, Instagram. I'm still trying to build that one up. It's a little slow for me. It's so much out there. Our website, Worldwide Academy Training Services, all spelled out, .org. And stay tuned, because we're definitely going to be doing and expanding more on this. We'll be offering some classes. Let us know too, pet first aid and CPR. We do a 2-year certification. So if you come and you take the class, one-time class, you will receive your certification that will last for 2 years. And if you can't come to us when we put up a class, we can come to you. And so just let us know. We'll travel, so we can do it. We will. So all right, thanks again, Erin. And everybody, we'll see you on the next one. I'm not sure what's coming up next, but you'll be in suspense for a while. So anyway, have a great day, everybody. Ciao.
Thanks. Bye.